Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Q&A Wednesday here on Success Life Live. Thank you for taking time out of your day, whether you're watching it live or in the replay. Hey, that was very Dr. Seuss-like. Thank you for taking time out of your day, whether you're watching it live or in the replay. Hit the like, hit the share. Let us know that you are here. There, that was my Dr. Seuss for the morning. Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good to have you guys in the room. Today is Q&A Wednesday. I got two questions through the Q&A or email at ericgreid.com asking one, responsibility, or how do you help kids take responsibility, and two, about visioning or vision boarding, or what does it mean to hold a vision? So we'll talk about both of those. In the meantime, good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Mohammed. Good to have you in the room. Good morning, Miss Gail. Hope you are well and happy hump-free hump day Wednesday. I think I got all that out right. Post the information below at 9 o'clock, doing a little interview, PSA kind of thing. So keep an eye out for that information to show up today in the news feed, and then 9 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, I'll probably still be here at 8 o'clock just to set it up, but hey, you get two of me in a day. So, and then yesterday the news, tomorrow the podcast goes out. Like I said, because we have a special Thursday, we're not going to have a Friday. Well, we'll have a Friday, we just won't have a Fun Friend Friday, but I got something else worked up for you anyhow. So good morning, Juan. Good to have everybody in the room. Yeah, this summer cold thing seems to be stuck in my throat. So it is time for, with a little bit of a drum roll, somebody please, Q&A Wednesday. So this is where clients or people out there in the social media sphere send me a cue or a question. Some of them I answer directly, just so you know, because they are very personal or they require a consultation. Others, I think, wow, that's a question that most of us probably have, or that would be a good teaching point. And so I hold it back and bring it to you here on Q&A Wednesday. So if you have a question in your personal, professional, business development, just send it in and I'll be happy to make it a part of Q&A Wednesday. Good morning, Michelle, and good morning, Todd. The first question was around how do you help kids learn responsibility / take responsibility? And, you know, my approach is based on being a foster parent, being a group home manager, working in child care and child development and services for over 20 years, plus having kids of my own. At one point, I realized that the way that I grew up was taking responsibility wasn't an option. And what I mean by that is I so often see parents where they'll have a gold star chart, or where if the kid accomplishes, 3 tasks, they get a star, and then if they get so many stars, they get a reward, and down and down and down and down. And that sort of turns responsibility into an option. Like, I don't really want the big cookie, so I'm not going to take responsibility. I'm not going to do the task that needs to be done that makes me part of this team. In our house, and with my kids and with kids that have come through our house, responsibility wasn't an option. I'm sorry, we are a team, and this team works together. And if one part of this team breaks down, the whole team breaks down. And so you're not going to earn extra rewards or extra cookies or a bigger allowance by taking care of the things that are assigned to you as part of this team. And so, for instance, my kids have certain tasks they got to do. They got to go to school. They got to pack their snack bag. They got to take care of the dog. Like those kind of things. We don't keep a big chart. We don't put smiley faces. We don't celebrate, oh, look, you took responsibility for the things that you need to do, so therefore you get, a bonus prize. Because as I told them, I don't get, you kids, you're not leaving a tip on the table when I cook dinner. You're not leaving money on the dresser when I fold laundry and bring it up to your room. You're not rewarding me with gold stars and happy marks when we keep a roof over your head and water running through the pipes and heat in the house. Those are my responsibilities as the team leader, as the dad, as the captain. And I take on those responsibilities because I get the benefits of being on this team. Your love, your joy, your happiness, the things that you bring with you. And so therefore, The same applies to you. Now, if they go above and beyond, if they ask for a challenge, then they get a reward. But we really structured it as it's not an option. And if you don't do what's asked, then you're challenged in the sense of, do you still want to be part of this team? Like this team, this family team, Sweeney Reid team, has members that all perform equally and are held accountable for that performance, equivalent to their skills, talents, and needs or abilities. And if you're going to be on this team, you got to show up and play. And that's your job. And so when I talk about taking responsibility, I always make sure that the kids don't feel like there's an option. It's not like, well, if I don't want to take responsibility, no home, no foul, I don't get my allowance this week, but that's okay. Or yeah, I lose my iPad for an hour, but I'll get it back tomorrow and I can live and stuff. No, I'm sorry, responsibility is not an option. If you're in this house, if you're on this team, if you're in our program, if you want the benefits of being part of this, then there's a performance that's expected of you. And if you need help and need assistance and need guidance on doing that, all in, call me, pick up, I'm there, buddy man, is what I say to my son. But if you choose not to take on the responsibilities of being part of the team, then you don't get the rewards of being part of the team. And so as much as I wanted to have Pinterest goal charts and fancy awards and, all of those things hanging on my refrigerator and look like that kind of parent, I realized it became a bartering system. Like, okay, I'll feed the dog because I need $1 because I want to go, to the pool and get ice cream. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. You don't get to pick and choose when you're going to pick up the responsibilities because you want them for that moment, but not for the next. And I think that leads into raising kids for parenthood. That I want my son to know that it's not an option to be a responsible dad, to be a responsible spouse, to be a responsible employee or team member, that he has to be ready to take on those responsibilities. And that by taking them on, that's part of his life. That's part of his growth journey. It's not a gold star and an extra award and something happy and lucky. No, it is required of him in the world, and just like it's required in his little micro world, which is our house and in our school. And so maybe that is not the popular answer for how do you teach kids responsibility or how do you help them take responsibility. But I think it's a bit of a perspective shift, because I think sometimes as parents, we give them the opportunities that their little brains shouldn't be allowed to choose everything. It's not a choice whether you want to feed the dog or not. And if you miss, it doesn't become an unhappy face, it becomes a dead dog. So it's not an option for you to skip it. It's not an option for you not to do something. It's what's expected. And as long as that is the approach and the tone from the beginning, my kids know, like, when I say this is expected, they're like, okay, there's no bartering, there's no like, it's just written, it is done. And it worked well for kids that came into our home through foster care as well, because it was like, if you want to be part of this environment, this home, we all have jobs to do, here's your assigned jobs. When you stop doing those jobs, then you stop being a part of this team and we'll look for other options for you. I didn't have to discipline and I didn't have to barter and I didn't have to negotiate. It was just, hey, it's in or it's out. And you get to choose what you want in your life and begin to take back control of your destiny and all those things. And so for our older foster care kids, it was like, if you don't want to be in this house, hey, here's one quick thing you can do. You don't even have to blow up. You don't have to get, steal from somebody or, get in trouble at school or call your social worker. Just don't feed the dog. And we'll come back to the table and we'll talk about your responsibilities. We'll talk about whether you're in or out. And I'll ask you, do you want to still be on the team? And you'll say no. And then we'll look for other arrangements. When we take out the illusion of options, our minds work miracles. So true, Mom. So true. We get stuck in the, well, I could do this or I could do that. If it became necessary, like you had to do it, you would do it so much quicker. And I think that's the way it should be sometimes with parenting. Now, as they get older, obviously that changes. But my kids, like, I just look at them and they know the face. I can't make the face. It just magically appears like, there is no point talking about it. Like they see the no point talking about it face. Like, as it is written, it shall be done. That's my role because I am subject to that same role in my relationship with authority and divine. All right, so that was how do you teach or help kids with responsibility. Be curious if you think I'm a crazy man and my kids have it too hard in life. The result of what we do is a natural reward. Very true. The result of what we do. And I found it crazy when my son was, or my daughter as well, when they were getting paid to like clean up their toys. I was like, I am not getting a paycheck in this house. Why are you getting a paycheck for cleaning up a mess that you created with things that I had to buy you? Wait, this is crazy people talk. Why are you getting a reward financially or going to a movie or Pokemon cards for taking care of the dog? I'm not getting a reward for taking care of you. Now, granted, I get a reward by the love and affection that we have as a family, but nobody comes in on Friday and opens my money jar and puts $5 extra in it. And then I realized, you know what? I get paid for doing the job that I do. And they should, do the job that they got to do. And their payment is room and board and hot water and cable TV. Sometimes it's a little bit more. Not often. Bread and water. It's my thinking. It encourages them to move out when they become of age. So question number 2 was about vision. My kids are older now, 15 and 20. It feels like a long time ago when I was teaching them responsibility. Lots of, and I can't see the rest. I'll look at it in a minute, Sylvia. And it was really hard as a foster parent when I would get a 15-year-old kid that had never heard the word responsibility and taking responsibility and being part of a team and all of that. And, excuse me. Excuse me again. And taking responsibility and all of that. Give me just a sec. Sorry, gang. That was an uncomfortable moment of sneezing. Taking responsibility and being part of a team and all of that was new to them. And I got so tired of, thank you, Sylvia, for the blessing. I got so tired of bartering and like feeling like I was constantly at the table of moderation and mediation and negotiation that I was like, look, it's in or it's out. Because that's the way it is in the grown-up world. You show up late to work, they ask you, do you want the job? You show up late on your responsibility, I'll ask you if you want the benefits that come with, the attached object. So it made it a lot easier to remove the drama of parenting, the fighting and throwing up my hands and going crazy, and fighting the battles, because there are just, sometimes it's not a battle. It's like this way or no way. So the second one's about vision. And somebody had asked me, what do you mean by vision? I think the question was, I don't understand the difference between a vision and a mission and a goal and all of that. And so in summary for me, and this is a me thing, and depending on who your coach is or who you're speaking with, they'll interchange them. For me, when I hear the vision, and my coach Paul Martinelli will often say, hold your vision. To me, what I need in that vision, it's almost like for me to walk into a museum in my mind, and I can see so clearly the me, the who I'm becoming, the thing that I like, where I see my life, that it causes me to gasp. Like there's an emotional, there's a deep feeling. Like it's not just here, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have money and I'm gonna have a house and we're gonna do this and do that. Like it's not a vision from here, it's a vision from down here in my heart. And so what I mean by that is there's a difference between saying, I am happy, and then I am happy and pulling it through as a feeling, pulling it through as an embodiment of I am happy. So often when people write their mission statement, it's the GPS of how they're going to get there. Like, my mission is to serve people at the highest level, da 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 da. Like, what you could see externally. The vision, that piece that I call vision, is when you arrive, what will it feel like from inside? Like, it's almost as if I'm standing in, I don't know, we'll pick a day, July 20th, 2022, and I'm there and I'm looking around me and I'm looking down at my shoes and I'm, smelling the air and I'm hearing the voices and I'm reflecting back on earlier in the day or in the week. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was so great, man. Getting off the boat was just, it just was wonderful because we had spent the day and I could feel my face is still sunburned from being on the boat all day with the kid. You get it? I can start to actually go there. And if you're like, I don't understand, if I ask you to go back and close your eyes and think of a day last year, Christmas, your birthday, an event that happened, your wedding day, the birth of a grandchild or a child, I'd ask you to close your eyes and see yourself in it. You could see the hospital gown, or you could see the baby in your arm, and you could smell what it was like, and you could remember the people that came and the flowers in the room or the balloons, and you could begin to really move in to all of that, and then you would begin unknowingly to start to smile. You could literally feel that same feeling, that same emotion, that same thing start to grow up inside of you. And you would become consumed by it, that it would almost be like laughing, like, I can't believe I'm laughing at this memory, this vision of what happened in the past. And I'm having the same feelings. I'm getting the same chill bumps. This is really weird. I feel like I'm back there. Well, when I talk about creating your vision versus your mission versus your goals versus your habits, I'm trying to get you as a coaching client to see that thing. First, sometimes as if you are looking at a painting in a museum, to see that vision, and then to learn through meditation and several other exercises to move inside that painting and then to become that painting. Because as I talked about yesterday, so often where I see people's failures and successes become a roller coaster is because they'll get the mindset right, but they won't get the habits right. Or they'll get the habits right and they'll begin to work on the mindset, but they don't go and embody it. They don't get that feeling. They don't own it. And if you studied Wallace D. Waddell, if you studied Napoleon Hill, if you study the Bible, and so it be, that idea that when we own it in the spiritual sense, we become supernatural beings in the creation of our lives. And so when we're trying to just create success through habit change, it's like physical pushing physical. It's like a hammer trying to push a nail. There's always going to be more effort, sometimes more pain involved. And when we try and change our lives through mindset only, this theta wave top level brain, it's still in that physical form. It's still in that hammer and nail thing. But when we move it into the vision, into the believing, into the embody it, yeah, there you go, Michael. Yeah, I was listening to your lessons. It becomes our sort of ninja warrior ability with just the simple pressing of a thumb to push the nail through the board, because we've tapped in to alignment with what we want that nail to do. We want it to go through the board, and because we're in alignment with that and we're using that energy that's in us that sees the nail going through the board, it has to go through. And that's the way it works when it comes to creating our life focus, is that we can't just live on one of three. We have to be in alignment with all three. And so when I talk about setting up that vision for your life, it is that third piece. It is that knowing piece. It is that energy piece where you can then go, you know what? Every action I'm taking today feels so right to that picture that I'm standing in, that painting on the museum wall, that it's not hard for me to get my job done because it just feels like it just feels right. I don't feel like I'm banging my head against the nail trying to figure it out because I've already figured it out. I'm just finishing it. And so that's the purpose of having a vision. That's the difference between the vision and the mission and the goals and the habits. They all work together, but they don't work apart from each other. And so when I talk about through Success Life, making sure you have a vision, making sure you have a mission, making sure you have goals, and making sure you have habits, you've got to see the weaving and the twisting between them all. And that's often where coaching helps, because we might get stuck up here in this thinking thing, this analytical, intellectual thing, which is always using the references of our past and our external experiences. Or we might get really hung up on every morning I get up at 6:30 and I run, but I'm not losing weight. And that's the habit thing. But often we fail the vision thing, to understand it, to feel it. And sometimes we're afraid to feel it. Sometimes feeling all of that can be quite crippling. It can be quite overpowering. It can be like, you mean I've been living my life this way? And now that I've felt it and experienced and stepped into it, again, the museum analogy, it could be this. Like, if I can feel this, like if I can remember if I can see the future me and experience and feel it as strongly as I can feel and experience the past me, that Christmas me, the birth of my child me, our wedding day me, then that means both are real. Both are real because the feelings are identical. That energy is identical. And that can be very overpowering and very frightening for some people. But once they begin to experience that future sense, balance and energy, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm no longer fighting. I'm no longer being a hammer to the nail. I just join with the nail and we decide we're going to go through the wood, and all of a sudden we're through the wood and we're on to the next project because it's in alignment with who I am. It's in alignment with who I am. So that's a bit about vision. I know. Seems a little metaphysical, seems a little crazy, seems a little woo-hoo. But if you don't trust me, if you don't believe me, take on this experiment today. Go find a photo album, scroll through your photo feed, find a memory photo that has great significance. Like I said, the birth of a grandchild, a birth of a baby, a wedding, a graduation, something, an announcement of an engagement, something that, is like that moment was emotional. And then just focus in on that photo. Just like look at it and ask yourself, what was I feeling? Like, what was I feeling? What was that feeling like in that moment? And I guarantee that feeling will start to overtake you. Like it will come up on you and you'll be like, why am I smiling? Or why am I laughing? Or why am I getting goosebumps? Like, what is this about? You recreated that moment and that energy of that moment and the feeling in you. And you're like, oh my gosh. So now then you create that vision of the future engaged, the future married, the future grandma, the future dad, the future, like all of that. Like time doesn't exist in the whole vision thing. And you create that in the future, and then you start to feel it, and you start to smell it, and you start to experience it in that 4D, 5D, hyperdrive kind of feeling. And it energizes you, and it focuses you, and it drives you, so that when you step out of that moment, it'd be nice to live there, but when you step out of that moment, the things you start to do and touch and be around and the habits you start to create are like, that feels really good. Because it feels a lot like what it felt like when I went to that future place, just like it felt really good when I went to that past place. So that's what vision is about. To see something means more than sight. It means you are beautiful, the naked truth. Yes, Muhammad. So often, and I forgot who said it, but words are the construct of our current existence. And so the words that I use, like knowing and embodying and belief systems, we each filter and process. And so I need to, for me, I'm a visual person. I'm a visual talker, as you can tell by the story about the museum. And so to me, that helps me get outside the trapment of word and into image. And with the passing of Toni Morrison, a great wordsmith, she talks about that. And actually, I put that video up on my YouTube page yesterday. Don't rely necessarily on the written vision statement that you have. If you wrote down your vision statement in some class or some weekend seminar, look at it, listen to it, record it into your phone, and then listen to it back. How does it make you feel? Like, do you get goosebumps? Do you react with a smile or a laughter, or do your shoulders drop with a sense of relief? Does your head go up and your shoulders go back with a sense of pride? What happens to you physically as you reflect on that vision statement? And if nothing happens, then get a new vision statement. Maybe not even write it down for a while. Just see it. Sit quietly in a chair and start to paint the picture like an artist. All right? So that's vision. That's parenting. That's all the questions I had this morning. So I do appreciate you for jumping in and joining me today. I'm distracted down here. Your talk today is helping me to get back and steer up the vision. Get excited. Well, good, Sylvia. Good. That's why we do this thing. You know, you guys, and just as a side note, a detour of my brain, a squirrel on the screen kind of thing. I've often challenged myself whether I stay in and doing this. I'm well over 1,000 by now. I've lost count. Began 2 years ago. Pretty consistent with every day, 365. Probably have missed maybe 10 days a year. And I always wonder, do I keep doing this? It doesn't seem to be doing what I want. I'm always analyzing it, the analytical brain of mine. And then I'll get a comment saying that helped me, that guided me, that supported me. And that's really what my joy is helping and guiding people to live a life that they feel worthy to experience what they see in that quiet place in them. And so your encouragement, I love, I receive, it inspires and puts fuel in my tank. But also, I feel like we could do more as a community. We could reach bigger. We could invite more people into this experience and share it at a different level so that we could begin to create change, not only in our lives by sharing it and making it grow, but in the lives of the people that we touch. So when I ask you, what are you doing about coaching classes? Well, thank you for asking that, Sylvia. I got to get my hand to the wheel and start doing that. I love one-on-one coaching, but I realize that's not often an option for people. So if you do want one-on-one coaching, great. I'm thinking of doing first, I'm doing the Trello class, and then we'll do some things off of that. But I got sidetracked. So when I say share it, it really is because maybe there's a parent that's struggling today that will change their perspective on parenting. Group coaching, look into it. Or maybe there's somebody that doesn't feel connected to their vision and they're struggling to achieve their goal, and maybe this lesson about vision will help them reconnect in a way that will transform their lives. And when they transform their lives, it impacts their spouse and their kids and then their school and then their community. And it just keeps going. And the ripple effect is, see, the excitement. Seeing the ripple effect of change, it just, and even just imagining the ripple effect of one change into the world, that just amazes. That just I'll give you a visual and then we got to go. If you've seen the movie Pay It Forward, you know, where the little kid has to find 3 acts of kindness or whatever it is, the 3 random acts of kindness. That end in this scene, if you haven't seen it, here's the spoiler alert. The end of the movie where there's just miles and miles and miles, it feels like, of candles and car headlights from one act. That to me, like, I will cry every time. I am afraid to say it. I'm man enough to say it. I will cry every time at that moment. That, to me, is what living a life of success is about. Being able to know that an action that you took, that I took, that we take, someday will have that ripple effect into the universe, and we won't even have to be there to experience it because it's bigger than us. So I leave you with that thought, that vision, so to speak. I will be here tomorrow morning, and don't forget we got a 9 o'clock as well with our special friend Julie McManus. It'll be her first time, so be gentle and send her words of encouragement today. So until then, I will see you tomorrow at 8 and 9 o'clock, and then again on Friday, and the podcast drops on Thursday. And in the meantime, if you need me, reach out directly, eric@ericgreid.com. But I want you today to just try and embody the word in worthy. Like, what does it feel like to be worthy? Now, feeling worthy about something big might be hard or might be just a little too far. So bring it down. What would it feel like to be worthy to laugh? Just to, like, what would that... And then go, I'm worthy of laughter today. I'm worthy of it. And live into it, because you are worthy. You are worthy of everything you desire and the life that you seek. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.